August 29, 1903, Katie Lee Jackson was born to Andrew Sloan and Ora Lee Jackson. She lived on a rented farm near Munster, Texas for most of her childhood. As a little girl, I remember spending the night with my grandmother, lying in bed with the windows open to let in the summer breeze as she shared her memories of growing up with her older brother Alfred in a place that sounded very much like the American frontier to me. One of the more vivid stories she told involved her brother bringing home 2 tiny wolf pups in his coat pockets. They raised these wolves as pets, but of course they could never really be pets as they were wild. And on a farm, a wolf was a natural threat to the chickens and other animals. In the end, her brother, with tears in his eyes, had to shoot one of the wolves and turn the other loose back into the woods. Stories of traveling in covered wagons and preparing old-fashioned food filled my childhood, as I believed my grandmother to be a real-life pioneer. Only now do I realize what a pioneer she really was. As a teenager, she left home to pursue her education. Out on the prairie, there was no high school. Katie Lee had to board in the nearest town, Gainesville, in order to go to school. She lived with the Moon family there and traveled home only rarely. Even her report card reveals that it was Mrs. Moon who signed her grade report, not her own parents. In the spring of 1922, Katie Lee Jackson joined a handful of other classmates and finished high school as an honor roll graduate of Gainesville High School. Remarkably, my mother still has many relics left from Katie Lee's high school days. Commencement invitations and programs, photos and notes from classmates, and various newspaper clippings from May of 1922 are carefully pasted into a priceless scrapbook called The Girl Graduate. Even during her high school days, Katie Lee saw a need in her community and made it part of her lifelong dream, one that she wrote down and pasted into her precious scrapbook: the need for a better rural school system. Shortly after my grandmother graduated from Gainesville High School, Randolph Lee Clark came to Gainesville as the school superintendent. He had founded a junior college in Wichita Falls a couple of years earlier and believed in the value of offering higher education close to home. With the help of the community, Gainesville Junior College was born. For many years, both Gainesville High School and Gainesville Junior College were both housed in the same building, the Newsom Daughtry Mansion. Katie Lee Jackson, along with 32 others, began college as the charter class of Gainesville Junior College in the fall of 1924. Since, Gainesville Junior College has become North Central Texas College and is the oldest continuously operating 2-year college in Texas. Eventually, Katie Lee headed a few miles south to Denton to obtain her teaching certificate in 1926. She taught at country schools during the year and took classes in the summer. Finally, in 1931, she finished her Bachelor of Arts degree in English at North Texas State Teachers College. Katie Lee and her brother Alfred were both farm kids. College was not the traditional route for young people like them. Despite this reality, they both earned bachelor's degrees in the early 1930s from North Texas State Teachers College. Alfred served on the yearbook staff and studied biology, while his sister worked hard to begin her career as an English teacher. After teaching in the rural schools of Cook County for 5 years, Katie Lee moved to Bardwell, Texas, south of Dallas, to teach. Once again, she boarded as she worked there. It is while she taught here that she began work on her master's degree at the University of Texas in the summers. In June of 1940, she finished her Master of Arts degree in English from UT. Bardwell is also where she would finally meet my grandfather, L.H. Prine, and fittingly their first date was to a Bardwell High School basketball game. In all, she taught in Bardwell for 10 years, first as Miss Jackson and later as Mrs. Prine. All the while, through all the studying and teaching, Katie Lee was an avid reader and writer herself. She especially loved poetry and wrote short stories and essays of her own. Today, those written words of hers provide a priceless glimpse of the past. Later, she and her husband would move back to the Denton area, and Katie Lee would teach for several years in Collinsville. In 1947, at the age of 43, she gave birth to my mother, Ora Catherine. Finally, in 1956, the family would move west to Bridgeport, Texas. It is here that my mother finished high school in 1965, and my grandmother finished her teaching career in 1966. My mother went on to North Texas State University, the alma mater of her mother, and also became a teacher. She would enjoy a long career in education with her husband, Don Micah, both offering over 30 years of service to Bridgeport High School. In 1976, Ora and Don gave birth to Melissa Catherine, me, and in 1981, my brother Charles came along. The two of us also graduated from Bridgeport High School and went on to college. My brother holds a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University and an MD from the University of Texas at Houston Medical School. I hold a Bachelor of Arts, a Master of Arts, and a PhD in English, all from Texas A&M University Commerce. Like my grandmother, who came so many years before me, I taught high school English in a rural community for 13 years. Today, I'm an English professor at Midwestern State University. Without doubt, my grandmother, a true pioneer for women and educators, serves as a literacy sponsor for the generations that came after her. My mother, myself, and even her great-granddaughter Audra Lee, whom she never met. It is she who blazed the trail for us. Her story is one to be treasured as her words and legacy live on.